Another example of breaking outside of normal flow is when we use something called floats. And we can apply a class here, and we're going to call this class left. And I'm going to apply a float left here. We'll do the same thing, but we will do a float right on this next one. And what we're going to do is we're going to move content around the page and float it over to the left-hand side or the right-hand side. Now once we have those classes made, let's go to our figure here and let's apply our class float right. Okay, and we'll do that. And you can see that this image moved over to the side. Now for now, just ignore that this bar is going through and history came up. We'll explain that a little bit here in a second. But let's take this and let's move it up above all this paragraph right here. We'll put it right below this types. I'm going to dump that right there and look at that again. And you can see now how this is a little bit different. Now if I was to take off that float, look at how this changes. Do you see how before it moved it to the right and it wrapped all the content around the side? That's one of the characteristics of a float, which is really nice to have. So we can do that and we can kind of move that around. We could also take that and float it to the left. And rather than being how it was before, it's going to allow the content to move around the right-hand side and continue down. Some examples of that, again, right here. If we have an element that's a div or something, some kind of element here, and we float things to the left, everything will wrap around to its right-hand side. And if we float it to the right, everything will float around its left-hand side. These are a really great way to deal with content because as content shifts around, gets larger or smaller, you can kind of see how it just kind of fills that space accordingly. And this is a really great technique that's been around a long time for just basic page layout.